can entities hide in vehicles? The answer is yes, but mainly just because the same way entities can be in your house, entities who are like, like, oh, there's this haunted house. Well, of course. And all it is like, okay, if you have a vehicle and you're using it, so let's say you're gonna go like driving, you might get like road rage. Something might happen while you're driving, it might piss you off, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, like you get those emotions. It gets intense. It gets like, like you have to deal with it. Various drivers and stuff. And then you're not the only person on the road. There's tons of people, and they're all going through their stuff. So like really depending how you feel about yourself, how you feel in your daily life, and how these beings can trigger you and amplify those emotions. Because like what you feel, like it sticks. This energy. Like you literally can feel bad and pissed off, and there will be people who get close to you, and even though you're trying to smile and pretend everything's fine, others can pick it up and like ask, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? Are you doing good? Like is there anything happening?" So like those people can definitely pick up that energy. And same happens to this space. It's not just your body that has it. Like literally this energy like sticks to other things. So where this vehicle, where it is like part of the nature, any kind of space, like literally it's like glue. It's like poo. Like you just drop it and it sticks, and now it's there for a while. So that energy, like it's good to be aware of it. You can literally sit in your car, you can get to certain space, and you feel like something's not right here. Like there are people, and it's just not just entities that can affect that. They're targeted individuals, directed energy weapons. Like I have talked to quite a few individuals lately who can leave and go outside and like leave their house, leave their apartment, go outside, and they're feeling amazing. But the moment they get back home, like it's really bad, and they're like, okay, like I don't like being here, and then they go to another place, like they move out, they get a nice little apartment, things seem fine there, and it doesn't take longer than a week, boom, same energy follows them back. So sometimes it's not just entities, there are groups who literally will target people and try to trigger them, try to mess with them, try to affect their daily life, their mood, their thoughts, and like really you gotta look at like, okay, where am I living? Because sometimes it's not just you. You're not the only target. Like if there are any military bases, like they have some experimental programs, and literally it's just like, okay, well let's just test out our new technology. Tons of patents, voice to skull, remote neural monitoring, and everything like it. Like if they just think of like, let's test out the new thing on people, see how they are affected and what we can do with them. What's their mood like? How are their thoughts? How are they feeling daily? In Germany, there are tons of people giving claims to the police about being a target individual, about all these directed energy weapons, and there's like real cases. And people are fighting and like pointing it out to the government, and like there's something going on, but like it's not open, it's not showed in the mainstream media, like no one's talking about it openly as much. So, it's not just entities. There's always more than one reason for something happening. And pointing it out is like, okay, well, I have it in my space, like what's going on? Like is it entities? Is it the weird energies? Is it direct energy weapons? Something else? Like what the hell is going on? So there's always something. Now, good question. So how do we get rid of entities? Again, always more than one way. And first things first is you look at your physical body. Are you taking care of yourself physically? How's your diet? Like, it's very simple. You eat junk food or you're eating healthy. As in junk food, you like occasional pizza, you like a burger, you're gonna get your chicken nuggets and stuff. If you're going with that, you're taking the responsibility that, gluten and everything else is gonna get into your system, and then, you're not gonna process it fine. There's tons of, let's say, GMO, MSG, and propylene glycol and other things in the food that's gonna affect you. So you're harming your body. That alone is like your energy is dissipating, is disappearing, and you don't have your energy shield as usual. So if you're not taking care of your physical body, you're opening up more spaces in how these beings can get close to you, how you become a magnet. So, okay, like take care of your physical body, eat healthier, like get more rest. It's very, very, very important. So basic, but very important, and most people forget about it. How do you drink water? Like, not coffee, not tea, not juices, water. Simple water. And that alone is like how much? Just one glass or like a gallon a day? Well, I can do a gallon. Well, so like another thing, like physical body, are you working out? Like doing all, like you check your physical body, first thing on the list, the most important part. And then without that, people get mercury fillings in their teeth. People get all this radiation, like electromagnetic radiation and everything else. So like there's constant attacks and, you know, chemtrails and everything else. And okay, well, move out. Let's just try to get away from it all. Like, it's not the best solution because people would have to drop their jobs, like leave their home and everything else just to try to get away from it all. And even then, you're going to be targeted. So just try to do as much as possible to take care of your body. Every chance you get, if it's affordable, if you have to, like, it's a simple practice. Just do stretches. If you don't work out, at least do stretches once a day. That's simple enough. Drink more water. So you go with those little things and try to work that, the basics. And then let's go more into the spiritual side. Like, or not even spiritual, your thoughts. What kind of thoughts do you have every day? What kind of story do you tell yourself? Do you say, like, my life sucks, that guy doesn't notice me, that guy doesn't love me, that guy doesn't respond, that girl is ignoring me, she hates me, she's jealous, or she has another guy and I'm like jealous, what's going on? So like your daily thoughts and your story about what your life is like. If you have the same old story repetitive where life isn't good, well, that's another thing. You keep on recreating and manifesting that story and using it like a magnet. And it's not like you can just drop it and, okay, from now on, I no longer believe in everything that happened to me, and I'm just gonna try to, you know, be the best aspect of myself, and I'm fine, I'm perfect, I'm healthy and everything. It doesn't work like as easy as that, but just adding, okay, choose what kind of day would you like to have? Let's say every single day you've had until now, what kind of day would make it better? Let's say you wake up, and you wake up feeling better than usual. You wake up a little bit inspired, somewhat enthusiastic, and just feeling really rested. And you wake up and you do your morning stretch. And you drink some water, maybe get your coffee, and there's this calmness. It's very clear. You start from simple steps like that. You don't have to, I woke up and I had my, like, love of my life with me. Like, yeah, good luck. You know, if you don't have it now, you're gonna tell yourself a, like, story, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're recreating all that crap, you're not believing what you're saying, and you're gonna fail yourself into thinking and sort of like going back into the negative. So just starting with simple things that not only you can think about, but you start practicing. Okay, well, what would I do if I would have a positive day? What would I think? How would I feel? How would I act like? How would my body be? It's that simple stuff where you're looking at your physical body, and that Tony Robbins stuff. Like, how are you standing? Where's your head like? How are you breathing? If you're practicing that figure of, like, well, if I was successful, if I've had money, if I wasn't the target individual and actually I was doing great in life, I would be like this. Like, oh my god, like, I've had taxes taken care of, the mortgage is covered, and I have the money to go on a trip I always wanted to go to. Life is great. Like, I'm just gonna go get my coffee and chocolate and do my thing. If you can just go focus on that, and then try to ignore all the money thing and just go get your coffee and chocolate and have that happy moment for a few minutes, just practice it. Literally. That's all you need. So, it's important. Like, focusing on how you think, what kind of story you tell yourself, and practicing the story. Like, if you were to gonna have a better life, you have to practice those steps. Practice being happier. Practice doing something that you haven't been doing. And just get out of your comfort zone. It's not easy, it's not fun, but it's like a muscle. You want to get better, you have to get better, because everything else you've been doing until now kind of didn't work out if you're still in the same place without any results. And then you cover physical body, you cover your thoughts, or at least some of the parts that you focused on, and then you look at, okay, what's in my space, how am I feeling, what am I looking at, what kind of emotions I have, and are there any repetitive thoughts and phrases and everything else. You look at those. Entities usually will either be asleep in our space and only become sort of more active when you get triggered. When something happens in your life and you feel a bit agitated, triggered, like maybe your parents, your SO, your siblings say something, maybe a coworker, just a person like a third party comes into your space and they say a phrase and you don't like hearing that. Like, well, it's gaslighting, they're lying, they're narcissistic, they're passive aggressive or something. So there's that thing that is like, well, there it is. I'm being targeted, or they're saying stuff that's pissing me off. I know it's not true. And you focus on those things. So now that you focus on a negative, these entities that are in your space, that are usually asleep, they become aware. They become active. And they look at the key things. Like the entity clusters, they have personalities. And so each cluster will have a certain focus in life of how they can affect you. So for some people, it's going to be more anxiety and worries, which is like if they're more keen on worrying and being anxious. I'm looking at my grandma, and her comfort zone is worrying all the time. And she's not comfortable with not worrying. She's not comfortable with everything's fine. She has to tell herself this like negative crap story. And even if like you would get in her space and like, oh, everything you believed in, everything you thought of, it's not true, grandma. Like, because reality is whole different. Like, I'm doing great. This person is doing great. And everything you've been worrying about is not actually happening. And she's like, what the fuck? And you try to make her believe stuff, right? So I would have a conversation with her and I would see how she acts and behaves. And literally, I would catch entities in her space that are causing this thought. The worrying about a specific person, worrying about that event happening. Because she is more keen on being anxious, worried, and afraid, these entity clusters would be more active whenever she gets that little feeling or like little thought, and all of a sudden they amplify it. So with that, like these entities will have second thoughts and start like affecting it. She's gonna pick up on it. But because people are not seeing it, not hearing it, but they're intuitive, they misidentify certain thoughts and feelings from entities as their own. And all of a sudden they think that. So my grandma would all of a sudden start saying things and I'm like, Grandma, it's not you. And she's like, you're right. And she becomes like a little bit aware of that. And if she kind of like spots it, like, why am I thinking about it? Like, you're telling me, like, I know it's true. It's gone. Disappears. And all of a sudden she becomes like clear, more awake, more aware, more conscious, and all of a sudden calms down. So it's best to just look at yourself and identify yourself. Like, you know yourself the best. You have this introspection where, what am I more keen on getting triggered on? For me, it used to be like relationships. I used to have big abandonment issues. Like, literally, I was like, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. And I remember, like, going to take a nap when I was with my grandma. And my mom was close, and she was like, well, yeah, I'll be here when you wake up. Like, no worries. I'm like, oh, I can take a nap safely. I fall asleep, I wake up, and she's not in the room. I freak the fuck out. Like, where's Mom? Oh my god. And I wake up, and I'm all stressed out, and she's just in another room. For me, that was a trigger. Like, I kind of, like, lost her for a while. And she just was in the kitchen. Next room. Like, oh my god, big deal. But for me, like, I always had this case on, like, losing people that were close to me that I cared about. So, like, I had to look at, like, okay, I'm more afraid of being abandoned, being left, being, like, I don't know, like, forgotten. Well, not necessarily forgotten, but more like just no one gave a fuck. Like, they just left me. So, like, looking at those, what I would get triggered on. Like, okay, my parents are leaving when I was a kid, and then I react on it. Like, okay, they haven't come back, and they're late by 10 minutes. Oh my god, big deal. And I would get all freaked out. So, I had to look at my case. Why am I getting freaked out? The whole abandonment issues, and then confront it. So, like, I know, like, a lot of those thoughts and worries and what if would come not from me, but from entities. But at the same time, I had a case from the past lives where I was left. And looking at the past lives, it's easy for me to talk about it because I've been there, I've done the work. But the first past life regression I've had was, like, agonizing. Like, the person that was giving me the session was, like, freaking out because, like, I was crying so much and I was so traumatized because confronting being abandoned, being left, and losing someone I loved was, like, such a huge deal. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I remember for me, it's like reliving it. I literally recall and relive it. So everything that I see around me, my hands and everything else, I go back into that moment and I'm living it every single moment. That body, that life I have, the people I know there, and everything else. And I focus on all those details, and it was like really bad because like everything that part of me felt at that time, I felt it. I felt with all my heart, my soul, and my body, and tears are just coming out, and I'm like, it's just killing me. Like this emotional pain from that life got here. So like it wasn't fun. I didn't want it to do any more past life recalls because I was like, if this is past life recalling, I don't want to do it. It's just too much. But we kept on going, and finally got through it. So that was the first one, and now I'm learning to sort of like deal with those emotions and everything else, recall those past lives and confront them better. So my own like issues, when I was able to point out the original places, the original times when all those triggers happened, when I was abandoned the first time, like previously before coming here on Earth, before that life, before that life, before that life, and when I go like hundreds of thousands of lifetimes of me being abandoned and left behind, I was like, okay, this is the first time it happened. When I found that, I'm like, okay, that kind of cleared out the case. And all of a sudden, this whole abandonment thing wasn't as triggering. Like, it's not like the issue completely dissipated and it's no longer there, but I am much better at dealing with it. I don't have those worrisome thoughts. So, like, being able to look back and confront it, it's huge. It really helps. But then again, not everyone needs to do it. Like for me, I kind of had to, and I'm really glad I did. And it's not like something that was fun, but it was definitely like hard work for me, and it really helped. So going with all that, you take care of your physical body. You look at your thoughts and where are they coming from? Are those thoughts yours or are they not? Like past lives, and then soul contact agreements, or invoking those and stuff. So there's like tons of things. Like this entity work, getting rid of them, there's tons of things that you can do. There's never just one exactly thing. And even like what I'm telling you is like I just have my go-to 5 basic things, for example, that I like the best. I haven't tried it all. No, it's far from that. I haven't explored tons of things, but I just found things that worked for me and I'm just sticking with it. But, hey, people are doing, like, let's say, some are using tarot cards, some are using astrology, some are using crystals, others are using sage. Some people like do talking and everything else. Like others are using various devices. Like find your tool and literally try to identify them in your space. The most important part is identifying the entity. Like I know people don't like giving labels to things, but for myself, for that moment, I need to know who am I talking to exactly. It's not just an entity cluster. It's an entity cluster that has anxiety. An entity cluster that's feeling worried. An entity cluster that is feeling abandoned. So they were going to have this major primary emotion, feeling state, thought. And when you know what this specific cluster is all about, you can talk to them. And talking is very important. And some people, let's say you address this entity cluster. If you look at yourself and you assume you have entities, you're looking, okay, well, what's negative in your life? What kind of issues you have? What's getting into your space? What's triggering you? And you look at, well, I'm exhausted. I might be lazy. I don't like doing this inner work. It just takes too much. I'm bored shitless. I don't like this life anymore. I don't like this planet. There's nothing to do here and everything else. So you look at what is it in your life that's not making it good, that's getting in the way. And you pick one thing. One thing that seems easiest to focus on and talk about, easiest to confront. For some people, like boredom seems to be the biggest thing. All the issues they have in life is one thing, but boredom, it's really hard to confront. But they have that. Others, it's about love, it's about finances, making money, like damn, like inflation and government and the Great Reset and tons of other things happening, like how am I gonna survive? And people in Russia, man, like the whole like changes and stuff like that, like it's, for some it's like devastating. And they're looking at the survival issues and how are they reacting. So literally you identify and find this issue, a thought, the negative thing in your life that's easiest to talk about, and then literally talk about it as if you were talking to a person, another being. And it's gonna have a specific identity, personality, feeling to it. When you know specific feeling, you know who you're talking to and about what exactly. And then you're asking like, okay, well, entity cluster that has anxiety. From your perspective, what seems to be the problem? Like for me, it's like one of the best questions to ask right now. From your perspective, what seems to be the problem? Because you're not asking what's the problem. They might not know the thing. But when you're asking from your perspective, what seems to be the thing? Well, it seems to me like it's just their thoughts. They can just share freely without knowing things, without knowing the facts. But it's like you don't have to tell the truth and the like argument and everything else. You're like, well, I think that the thing is, and boom, they share stuff. So when you're talking like, okay, entity cluster that has anxiety, from your perspective, what seems to be the problem? You ask from your perspective, and you're like literally wearing the hat of a life coach, the hat of psychologist, the hat of I'm a good listener and I'm a friend and I'm here to help you. I'm here to listen, so let's talk. It's like people go to the church to get all that crap off their chest, and there's someone's gonna be listening, and they're gonna hear your story, they're gonna hear about bad things you did, your sins, and at the end, you're like, okay, thank you for sharing, you're forgiven, bye-bye, and whatever. I don't know, I don't know the rules or how it works exactly, but I know my grandma goes into those places and she shares a few sins she has made by believing about something. She gets it off her chest, and then she's fine, she's gone, she's done with that. So with entities, it's the same thing. You like try to get them to talk and share their perspective. Why are they anxious? Why do they feel bored? Why are they jealous? Why do they feel abandoned? Why do they feel like no one cares about them? Like, yeah, like I feel like nobody cares about me. You might have this thought. No one gives a shit about me. I'm all alone. I'm all abandoned. I have no friends. I have no one to talk to. And when you identify, it can be a personality. It can be a behavior. So you can literally talk to aspect of yourself, to an entity cluster that has that little part. And when you're talking to them, they share that stuff. So some people will be able to hear it in audio. Others will just have a thought pop up. Others will just have this knowledge within. You ask the question, well, why are you feeling lonely? The sanity cluster, like from your perspective, what seems to be the problem? And the most important thing is you just gotta be curious. Like if your friend, if you had a friend, if you had someone you care about, had an issue, and you wanted to help them, you gotta start asking the questions. You gotta become curious, like, well, why are you feeling bad? What happened? Tell me the story. So by this curiosity, you're gonna come up with tons of questions, and it's great if you have like this whole little notebook on what question to ask, but all it takes is just being curious. Why are they feeling this thing? And you're talking to those entities, and they're gonna tell you like, well, you know, anxiety. If I don't mess with you, my boss is gonna kill me. If I don't do this thing, I'm gonna be, judged, and someone's gonna get rid of me. So you're looking at those little parts, like, okay, well, you're feeling anxious because someone's gonna kill you. Who's gonna kill you? Who threatened you? Well, I have this boss, and it's a reptilian, and they say that if I don't really fuck with you, and if I don't trigger you, I'm gonna be dead. My whole family's gonna be killed as well. That's one case. Okay, well, from your perspective, like, what seems to be the problem? The jealous part, or the part that, feels like nobody gives a damn about you. And, well, I've been doing this job for years, messing with people, trying to trigger them, and I can never get a raise. Everyone else does, but it seems like every time I do something positive, my efforts are not even noticed. And sometimes you're talking to an entity cluster, other times it's you. It's the part of you, like a mask, like you try to be someone else. You had to fit in to survive in this world, so you had to become someone else to be part of everyone, to be accepted. And you started behaving like, pretending to be happy when you were depressed. Pretending to be friendly and honest and accepting everyone else when you were scared as hell and, I'm gonna be brokenhearted and no one's gonna understand me and all this stuff. So we become someone else. We pretend to be. We put on the mask. We put on the suit, this personality that's not ours, but we become that to fit in, to try to live with others. And with that, when that happens, we just have to look at, who am I, really? That part of me that, I'm pretending that I can be great talking right now. I'm great at talking. Like, no, I'm not. So, okay, this part of me, that feels like I'm great at talking. From your perspective, what seems to be a problem? Well, it's all a lie. I just put on a face and act as if, but it's not happening. I'm not great at talking. I'm scared shitless. I don't know what to say, but I'm doing my best. And so this part, like this is me. The part of me that pretends like, hey, look, I'm gonna present the content on YouTube, and I'm gonna share all the stuff about myself. I'm gonna talk to you. My English sucks. I can't present stuff. I cuss and people don't like that. I don't know what to say. Like it's been like a while since I've made YouTube videos that had a good quality. So like I present that. Look, I'm good. Look, I can do it. I'm courageous. I can talk to you. But it's all a mask. Like deep inside, I'm like, the content sucks. I have nothing to talk about. It's same old stuff, and like I will judge myself, but I'm gonna pretend that it's fine. Great. So I look at this aspect of myself, and like, okay, well, thanks for sharing. And then, what else can I ask this part of me that would help it to talk it out? Like, is there anything that I need to know? This part of me that pretends that everything's fine, that you're good at talking. Well, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to talk to people. I just want to be left alone. Like, I don't like talking to people. I just want to chill, but you force me out of your space to do all this work for you. I'm like, okay, well, sorry, thank you for letting me know. And literally, having this little cognition about yourself, your issues, being left alone, being abandoned, no one gives a damn about you, having a hard time making money, can't find a job, any kind of issue you have, you identify it as an aspect of you, and you literally have this chat with yourself. We can treat those as entities, we can treat those as aspects of ourselves, we can treat those as other people and other beings, but the most important part is that no matter what it is, when you really talk to those parts, no matter what it is, you're asking those questions and you help yourself or others realize, look within, get it off your chest, get it off their chest. And that cognition, when they're able to tell the truth and you hear it, is the most important part, because that part wakes up and it knows that long time, for a very long time, they wanted to do a whole different thing. But they couldn't because they were forced into this situation. And when they hear the truth, when it's like you realize your biggest dream is to go outside and live close to the forest and just have your own garden and just chill, to go in some other country where the nature's there for you and you can just have your kind of people, have your group, not be a part of the system, not be a part in the big city, not doing the system job, but get away from it all. It's someone else's dream. Maybe someone else just wants to become an influencer. They want to get a good job. They want to make some money. They want to get that girl. And they realize that part of themselves is like, okay, this is the biggest truth. I've been lying to myself. I've been wearing a mask. But it's not what I want. And when you find that truth, the thing you love, you're passionate about, or the thing you wanted to do, that part of you is free. It can go do its thing. And whether you give the permission, create a place for them, that inner understanding of, I know what I need to do. It got bad enough, and realizing it's really bad and I need to take action is the most important part. Some people will have in relationships, like you might have listened to Tony Robbins or someone else talk about life, and people will either change because, hey, they have a good enough reason. Hey, there's this girl I like, there's this guy I love them with all my heart, they love me, and I need to make this happen. I need to make money, I need to get a place for us, and we're gonna be together forever, I'm gonna be super happy. Some people will have a great time with that. Others are gonna have a relationship where things are never working out. You're trying, you're putting in an effort, and the person doesn't notice you. They ignore you, they avoid you, they gaslight you, they lie to you, and tons of various things happen, and you go back and forth. There's so much love, but there's also so much resistance, and no matter what you do, you just can't get together. And it's really hurting you. I want to be with them, I love them, but it's not happening. And for some people, it gets bad enough to the point where that's it. It got too bad. I can't take this anymore and I have to take action. And whether they're I quit, fuck you, I'm gonna find someone else, or no matter what, I'm gonna find a way to fix it. I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do things, I'm gonna take action, and it's either a good enough reason and a good enough why, or you just it got too bad and you can't take it anymore and your standards are way up high and it's not fitting in and you're gonna change it up. So with that, it's life. That's just how you do things. So, yeah, getting rid of vanities. Like, that's a very long answer. There's never one way to do it. There's tons. And it's just being curious and it's exploring and like just getting at it. Just, I don't know, tons of work. But those are just my thoughts for now.